Hello, folks. Welcome to Zoho's Solution of the Day. My name is Ash from Tesiphon Systems. We have been a Zoho Authorized Partner for more than a decade now. And in this show, or on this show, in this show, I don't know, whichever. What I do is I present the different client requests we get regarding Zoho customizations and integrations, and I show you guys the solutions that we come up with to deliver on those requests. Today, what I want to show you is, let me share my screen here. There we go. All right, it should be sharing now. Yeah, it is sharing. All right. So today what I want to show you guys is we have this request for a vendor approval system. Essentially, our client needs their vendors to fill out their information in a form, capture that information, pushes it to Zoho CRM, have an approval layer, make sure the correct information gets captured. So for this request, we're gonna use Zoho Forms, Zoho Flow as an integration layer, and obviously Zoho CRM, where it all ends up. So I'm gonna take you guys quickly through what we have built here. So we have a very simple form here. Obviously, it's a demo form. The actual form is not this simple, but you get my point. So in here, the first thing is that the users get to select whether they're a business or an individual, and depending on what they select, different fields show up and hide. I'll show you guys how to do that. So in Zoho Forms, in the rules section, it's very simple. You can set up conditions for different different fields to show and hide and become mandatory and such. So here, depending on what they select, different conditions apply. And also we have this in the integration section of Zoho Form. You can essentially connect Zoho Forms with many different applications. In this case, we want to connect it with Zoho CRM. And in here, I've already set this up to be, so we want the information to be pushed to the vendors module. And here we've mapped the different fields. So as you notice, I've set up the vendor name to be mapped to the Zoho Form temp vendor name field. And I'll show you why I did that. So if you go back here, I have this staging field called temp vendor name, which is hidden from the users. And it has a default value of temp vendor name. The reason I've done this is when you want to create a vendor from a vendor in Zoho CRM, you always need the vendor name, obviously, but the vendor name could be different depending on business, whether it's a business or an individual. So I'm pushing it with a temporary vendor name into the CRM. And what I'm doing is in Zoho Flow, I am setting up an integration layer to essentially update that vendor name from the temp name into the correct business or individual name. So here, we're going to go back to the integration section. As you can see, I got the fields map. And in the action section, this part I always check, attachment and signature. This essentially attaches a PDF of the entry to Zoho CRM record once it's created. And this checkbox, it is telling the CRM to run all the different automations and processes. Essentially, you're telling the system to trigger whatever automation is set up. You have the option of turning that off, but I usually keep it on. And I've also asked the system to tag whatever entry gets created in the CRM, because I want to know which entries came from this vendor setup form. So I have them being tagged as vendor setup form. Very simple. Then you click on integrate. Then in Zoho Flow, what I have is I have a trigger I have a flow that is triggered by the form entry. I have built a 2-minute delay for the different actions to kick in, because I want the vendor to actually get created in the CRM before these actions are taken. Essentially, the whole point of the Zoho Flow, Zoho Flow actions are to make sure that the right business name or the individual name ends up on the CRM vendor. So these actions are designed to fetch the vendor that is just created, and then check whether it's a business or an individual. If it's a business, it changes the vendor name to, where is the vendor name? Right there. This would be the Zoho form field for business. If you search here, business name, there we go. I'll show you how it works. There we go. And same as for the individual, we have set it up so that if it is an individual, the vendor name becomes the first name plus last name. And finally, in the CRM, what we have is an approval layer. So if you go to the setup section in the CRM and you search for approvals, in this particular case, I've set up a vendor form submission approval that essentially checks the tag of the newly created vendor, and if it matches the condition, and essentially it's telling the system that it came from the vendor setup form, we have the system ask the finance group to approve the vendor. Now, I'll show you guys how to set up groups here as well. So if you go to the user section of Zoho CRM and you go to groups, you can set up any number of groups that you want. In this case, finance group, you can add members and such. So the idea is that once the vendor is pushed from Zoho Forms to the CRM, here we define any member of the finance group can approve it, and then the system will wait for the Zoho Flow to run to update the business or individual name. So I'm going to run a test now. Hopefully it will work while on demo. Hopefully it won't embarrass me, but we'll see. So let's call it test vendor business name test, whatever. Let's call it demo. There we go. Correct the spelling. Email is test@test.com. And I submit it. All right. So now that it's submitted, if we go to the all entry section of the Zoho form, we can see that it's working to push it to the CRM. It says new record pending. Usually takes a few seconds. And that's the reason I built the delay in the Zoho Flow, because we want this flow to only run after the vendor record is actually created by the form. So if you refresh it, we can see that it's created. So now we should be able to see it in the vendor module. There we go. Vendor test business entry. Oh, look at that. The Zoho Flow actually, oh no, I'm looking at, what am I doing? I'm looking at the wrong vendor. Let's see. There you go. This is the last one that we created. Okay, so as you can see, it is asking for a member of the finance team to approve it. So here, there we go, finance group. I'm going to respond and approve it. There we go. Now, if we go to Zoho Flow, the history section, we should be able to, yep, there it is. You can see that the flow is running and it's in the delay phase. The delay phase, I've set it for 2 minutes just to be safe, but let's see, should be done soon. Hopefully it won't bore you guys even more than you've already been bored. right, let's refresh again. There we go. It's completed. So now if we go to the vendors module, the name should have been updated from temp vendor name to whatever I put on the form. There we go. Test vendor business demo test. That's a very creative name. All right, so as you can see, it all works successfully end to end. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. Okay, so that was that. I guess that brings us to the end of this episode. I'm gonna put on our website and information on how to reach us in the description section of the video. But as always, if you have a Zoho request, Zoho questions, you need troubleshooting, anything to do with Zoho, please reach us. You can visit our website at www.tesiphon.ca. And thank you guys. Hope you have a great rest of the day and the week. Take care.